All right, welcome back, guys. So, in this episode, I'm going to walk you through a workflow that I created to extend the features inside of Tana Capture so that you can capture more, you can do super tags, and really cool stuff that I'll walk you through. So, with that said, how's it going, Nick?
It's going good. I'm from the Midwest, so typically you'll just say, I can't complain.
Nice. Sounds good, man. Yeah, so, okay, I want to share with you a really cool workflow that I've been developing. I think it's going to be really cool. So, let me hype it up a bit, right? So, the whole thing that I've been trying to solve is that with Tana, I really like capturing things on the go. That's just a general thing that I like doing. Whenever I have an idea on the go. Usually at the gym, I have something that I want to write on my phone, right? And the biggest problem is that at the moment, Tana Capture, which is a really cool app to literally capture things, has one limitation. It's great for voice notes, but whenever I want to write text, it has the biggest limitation, which is the inability to use super text. You know what I mean? Like it's quite annoying to not be able
Yep.
to tag something as a task
Yeah.
or as a quick note or something like that, right? So I guess before I show you what I've developed, like what is your current workaround for that? How do you currently approach that?
Yeah, I guess I have several thoughts. I'm glad that you decided to pause first because there's actually different directions of like the current solution, how it doesn't quite satisfy me. One of them in one direction is I want to be able to do more and I want to add super tags and everything sometimes. Now, in the other direction, sometimes I want thoughts that just don't have any structure to them. And I don't include those inside Tana Capture or even Tana in general necessarily because I don't want that kind of formality applied to them yet. Or maybe never. Like I take a lot of stuff in my Apple Notes. And so there's actually two opposing reasons why I often will not use Tana Capture when I'm on the walk in the park. But sometimes there's that middle space where I just want to capture something and I want to be able to transform it later into Tana. Then I will capture typically a voice note. Yeah, so that's kind of the limitations and current use cases for Tana Capture.
Yep, for sure. And then when things go to the inbox, do you ever process them and move them somewhere else or like tag them manually? Is that something that you end up doing quite a bit?
It's not my favorite solution, what currently
Right.
exists, because, yeah, sometimes I forget about it, and then I go
Mm-hmm.
in later, and it's like, oh, I forgot this exists here and everything. So, yeah, sometimes I forget, but then, yeah, I always end up moving it somewhere else, usually to my daily node, which is where I
Right.
try to just have everything go anyway. And then because I have things set up the way that I want them, they magically kind of get dispersed to the different live queries and other views that I have set up. So yeah, I always move them to the daily node and then it kind of automatically goes other places from there.
Right, got you, exactly. So, yeah, the biggest problem for me is that, especially for capturing tasks, I'm trying to do a lot more task management inside of Tana, just testing a bunch of things. And I've noticed that one of the reasons why I always steer away from it and use some other app is because of the inability to capture a task on the go. So, they
Hmm.
currently have a way to add a checkbox, right? That's something that is available inside of Tana Capture. You can add a checkbox just to kind of mark it as a to do, but it doesn't automatically tag it, or there's no way to tag it with like your super tag for tasks, right? Whatever you
Mm-hmm.
call it, to dos, tasks, whatever it's called. So I was like, okay, how can I work around this so that I can really capture things on the go? So I came up with something. And yeah, okay, let me just show you. I think it's gonna be cool to just show.
Yes.
Okay, so let me walk you through what we have in here, right? So on the left we have Tana, so I have tasks and I have notes, and then on the right what I have is Telegram. So I created a Telegram bot. Okay, so let me show you an example, right? Let's say that we have here a task. Let's say invent a new holiday, right? So that's the task that I want to add to my system. I send this, and then I have a pop-up that says, "Oh, is this a task or a note?" And when I select task, it's gonna automatically be sent to my Tana right
Wow.
here under the node that I decided as with the correct super tag, which in this case I just call it capture tasks. So yeah,
Hmm.
initial thoughts. Let me know what you think so far.
Okay, first I have questions.
Yeah.
So is this using Tana Capture then, or is this completely bypassing that?
It's by passing it by
Hmm.
using the Tana API and just
Uh-huh.
creating a bot in Telegram that
Oh.
uses the API. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. This is magic. Okay. Let's see here. So the next question then is, so you're able to send it to your day node, right?
So okay, that is a limitation. Right now, the daily
Ah,
node is just a facade. Like it's a lie. It really is in
oh, okay.
tasks, which is in just my home of the workspace.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's a lie. Unfortunately, I have some ideas on how I could do some crazy workarounds, but there's no built-in way to do it at the moment, at least that
Uh-huh.
I'm aware of. So that's a
Okay.
limitation for sure. Yeah,
So basically, you kind of you're selecting a particular node that you're sending things to based on
exactly.
whether it's a task or a note. And
Yep.
okay. So basically, you can create a separate inbox for each type of thing that you're capturing.
Exactly. So let me show you another example. So here we have a note, right? Here I have a couple of funny
Mm,
examples. But if we want to save that as a note, I just click note and it's now automatically sent to this particular node, which is just called
uh-huh.
notes. And
Nice.
underneath it as a child, it's also tagged as a capture notes,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's just a super tag
Cool.
that I named. Yep.
Cool.
So that's the idea.
Okay, this is awesome. This is already, I feel like it's, at least in some ways, it goes a step beyond Tana Capture because you're able to have these separate inboxes for these different types of notes or scribbles that you're capturing.
Exactly. And I mean, it's endless configurable because you can not only decide where you want to send something, but also you have separate control of which super tag you want to add
Mm.
that to. You can even configure fields. It's not something that I've done yet, but you could have default fields
Ooh.
and you can like select which particular value for that field you want to add.
Uh-huh.
So it's very configurable. It's really powerful. Technically, you could send it to your daily node, but
Uh-huh.
you would have to change it every day. You know what I mean? Like you would have to
Mm.
configure it every day, which
Mm.
is the only kind of big limitation that I'm facing right now. So I would
Hmm.
just send it to kind of like the master node, which in this case is either
Uh-huh.
tasks or nodes. But yeah, I mean, it can be customized. Yeah. Anything else on your mind? In the meantime, I might just open the
Yeah.
code just to show you something. Yep.
So actually, I have two questions before you go
Yep.
into the code.
Yeah. Yeah.
One
Go for it.
is, are you able to record a message in Telegram? So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I'll play with because right now it's just text, but it might be possible. I need to look further into it. Yeah.
yeah. But so far, this already blew my mind. I'm really
Nice.
glad that you came up with this. Yeah, let's dive into the code that you have.
Yeah, okay. So first thing off, like for any like complete beginners to code, like if you don't know any code, this is gonna look daunting. So I'm gonna try to make it as easy as possible. It might not be an in-depth tutorial. To be honest, something that I'm interested to explore. If you're watching this and you enjoy this idea, you would like to help with that, join our community, let me know, and I might be able to help you set it up. That's where I'm at right now. Maybe there's a lot of interest. I might figure out better ways to make it more user friendly, but yeah, just a bit of a disclaimer. So if you're a nerd, you know where I'm at. If you're not, this is called VS Code, and this is just like a place where you can code stuff, right? So okay, I'll just walk you through the basic stuff that is going on right here because this is not really like a full coding tutorial. But here I have a file where I actually decide, or rather name, everything that I want to define. So here I have like the target nodes, which is just kind of like the name that I gave it. And for my node that is for tasks, which is this one, all I really do is I just do copy link, and then I just paste that. So I just paste that inside of the code in here, and I just select the particular ID, and that is what I pasted right here, right? So that is what is defining the node where things are going to. The same for the nodes node. I just do the same thing. So I just copy this and I just paste the ID in there. So same idea, right? I'm just defining the things. Also for super tags, that one is a bit more confusing because you don't know exactly where to do that. But yeah, it's the same thing. I just do here, copy, link, and that gives us again another ID that I just paste and I extract this. So you just need to kind of define the actual codes or the IDs for each one
Mm.
of the things that you want. So yeah, it'd definitely be nice if you could just copy the name of the actual node and it would extract the ID somehow
Yep.
with the API. So yeah, I'm not familiar with that, but yeah, fair enough. That's something I'll keep playing with. Again, I think it'd be interesting to figure out smoother ways because
Yeah.
at the moment it's a little bit manual to do this. So yeah, I mean
Yeah,
this is
it's
like
not a huge
yeah
thing, but you know,
yeah.
anytime I notice like I'm copying pasting more than once or twice or something like that,
Mhm.
my spidey sense tells me this could be automated, some portion of
Yeah,
it.
for sure. Because like this is what I did to kind of clean things up. Otherwise, you usually just insert the actual ID inside of the main code. but that was a bit cumbersome, so I just realized it's better to have it like this. Also, I have, like, as you can see in here, I have my personal ones, Santi, and then the Tana Central ones, that is like the share ones.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, again, this is not a full code tutorial, but just to show what's possible. Here we have like the Telegram Tana system, and yeah, it essentially just grabs the particular codes that I was showing you before to define like where do things go, and just a bunch of stuff here going on that that just generates all the code. So yeah, not super friendly at the moment. However, I am familiar, or I've heard of an easier way to achieve things like that. Sarah, which is one of the new ambassadors in the Slack community, she was actually very helpful. I actually asked if this was possible in the community, and she said, oh, yeah, you can use the API and you can use something called make.com. So make.com, it's not something I've played with much. I'm mostly just used Zapier in the past,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, apparently this is a much more user-friendly way to do it, because what I did was just writing code. And I
Mm-hmm.
used ChatGPT to help me write a lot of that code as well. I just kind of gave it the documentation for Tana and said, do it, right? But this seems to be a much more intuitive way to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
you can just create these workflows, and you might be able to, like, anyone interested, you can play with things to do it like this. One disadvantage of this is that, of course, you have to pay to use it, right? Versus
Mm-hmm.
the thing that I'm doing is essentially free, with
Mm-hmm.
the limitation that, okay, this is kind of weird, but like the thing is that you need to have this code running. As you can see, the code is running down here, right? So if I kill it, if I stop it,
Mm-hmm.
I need to run it again in order for it to work. Because if this code is not running, then I can't use the Telegram bot, which is the annoying thing, right? So obviously, how do I work around that if I'm on the go and I don't want to have my computer running all the stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you can use other things, such as there's one called Python Anywhere, and you can just put the code in there and have it running without you
Mm-hmm.
having to run the code on your computer. So yeah, a bunch of nerdy stuff, but all of that to say that it is a really cool workflow to be able to develop workflows like this, right? And I designed the whole interface where, like, it pops this thing up and it just
Mm.
says, okay, if I select this option, not only send it to the node that I want, but also give it the particular super tag that I want.
Mm-hmm.
I click on it
Yeah.
and it goes there. And I also ask it to say, like, oh, tell me that it was created
Hmm.
successfully, give me a thumbs up, that's something I designed, and tell me what was the content of the thing. So yeah.
And that those buttons disappear. Could you have it
Uh-huh.
where you have like six tags and you could like, hit three of them because it stays up
Ooh.
for you to select, multi-select?
That'd be cool. I'm sure it's possible. I'm sure it's
Yeah,
possible.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be really cool.
yeah.
Because you can make this infinite, right? Or you could have
Mm-hmm.
something like, yeah, almost like a list of things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like, it's very interactive, because usually when I do things like this that are a bit more hacky in the terminal, just
Mm.
that black box usually says enter number 1, 2, 3, whichever option you want.
Yeah.
But in here, because you can
Mm.
use the mouse and it even has this nice effect by default with Telegram, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure you can multi select and
Mm.
decide things and decide parameters, and maybe you can have like a follow up question, be like, okay, we tagged it this super tag. Do you want to
Mm-hmm.
add these fields? And it gives you a drop down of fields that you predetermine in your code, and say
Yeah.
yes, okay, give me that one. Maybe you can
Mm-hmm.
type something, or like any extra descriptions that you would like to go underneath this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can prompt it to ask you any sort of questions, and you can develop these workflows
Yeah.
that, yeah, just give you a template system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool what is possible. I mean, I'm very
Yeah.
excited to see how this evolves, because the API at the moment does have some limitations. Right now, it's kind of like you send the things to Tana, but it doesn't really read things from Tana at the moment.
Yeah.
It doesn't analyze your stuff or
That's where the
suggest
real
things.
power comes in, I think. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, because then you can connect it with other apps, right? Then you can
Mm-hmm.
connect it with, like, I don't know, you have a spreadsheet in Google Sheets and you want to
Mm-hmm.
somehow connect that with, like, take a look at my Tana, see if you find this thing, and then bring it, right? So you can't
Yep.
bring things, you can only, like, send things at the moment. So I'm
Yeah.
very
But
excited when
also
it's more robust. Uh-huh.
being able to do the throughput. So, like, let's
Hmm.
say you have a note that you capture some stuff in Telegram, it brings
Right.
it into Tana, but then there's some process, possibly automated, maybe not automated, but one way or another, like that updated information, it now, creates a user interface in Figma or something based on that
Wow.
data. And the fact that you can go both ways through there, and then you make some adjustments, you move the things up and to the right, and it captures the x and y coordinates in Figma,
Hmm.
updates information inside Tana, and then it can report back to you inside Telegram. Yeah, this is what the website looks like now, or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. That'd be super cool to be able to just connect all sorts of things. That is one of the really cool things about, like, Tana kind of running on the web.
Mm-hmm.
versus like something like Obsidian, which kind of because it runs locally, you need to do a lot more workarounds and just like have more things being able to connect. But I really see how Tana in the future is going to allow you to connect things a lot more. That's something that I'm excited for, especially now that my biggest frustration again has always been like how Tana Capture doesn't let you do super tags. Now I
Mm-hmm.
can do it with just I pre-configure things, but then it's ready to go,
Yep.
and it's really cool, right? Like another thing that I really want to be able to. Well, this should be a simple fix, but here, for instance, I have like another example. I just have a note, just fun fact, and I want to be able to to just click on the one, like for instance, note,
Mm-hmm.
and I want this success message to tell me like, oh, this has been sent to your notes
Mm-hmm.
with this super tag, and this is the content of the node. So that's just a
Mm.
matter of configuring things because at the moment it just says created successfully, but here there's no feedback to know like, oh, was this a task or was this a
Mm-hmm.
node? So just being
Yep.
able to add like a couple more things that I can definitely do just by customizing the code, just to have better feedback information, just to know what I've done in the past. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. This is great to be able to see this working like in real time, especially. And the
Right.
fact that how long did it take you to put this together, actually?
Yeah, so okay, this was a two-step process for me. One is this kind of like terminal thing. So I just have like a black box again appearing on my computer where I can do the same thing without the need for Telegram, and that's how I quick capture from my computer without opening Tana. So that's something that took me like I don't know a few hours to create, just because I needed to understand how Tana worked with the API. So the documentation was definitely helpful. And then this one, I just set it up last night, so it didn't take that long to be honest. It took me maybe like 2 hours, maybe to.
Mm.
But I was getting excited, carried away, just like playing with things, and also making it so that it works for this demo. Because obviously this is the demo version that works from our demo account instead of
Mm.
my personal one, which is configured in different ways, different super
Mm-hmm.
tags. So yeah, it didn't take me that long, and I think what's most exciting about the times that we live in is that I never really spent the time to become a programmer. I've always liked code, and when I was into Linux, I did learn a bit about like techie stuff, but I never
Mm-hmm.
fully spent the time to like become like a master programmer and really know the code that I write. So it's just very exciting how ChatGPT can help you write code, which is for the most part what I did. I understand
Mm-hmm.
some of it, but I'll be honest with you, like I don't understand all of it. So all the stuff that I did is like, okay, yeah, it works. I troubleshoot it. I give it to ChatGPT, say explain why this didn't work, and then it just gives me
Mm-hmm.
new code and I paste it. So yeah, it's very exciting that you can do things like that with AI.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Very. And seeing what you put together in, I
hmm
guess we'll say a few hours, you know?
yeah, a few hours.
So seeing what you were able to put together makes me excited for two things. One, what the Tana team is going to be able to do and make improvements, whether it's capture or other things like that. But then, even more exciting than that, is what users, developers are going to be able to do when they're super focused on solving particular use cases using the Tana API and other tools like that. And this is going back to like three podcasts ago, I think. We were talking about, we delineated five different levels of Tana users and like the plugin and developer type users who are building stuff for other people, especially I think other builders, but it could be for end users as well. But like this is the type of person that I see really leveraging the Tana APIs to build these enablers for other builders in the Tana ecosystem. That's kind of how I see it playing out anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is very exciting. This sort of workflows is something that I recently started doing a lot more. In the past, I've always kind of relied on like, okay, what is natively possible, and if
Mm,
something is not natively possible, it's like, oh, I can't do it. But then
mm-hmm,
as the more I started digging into like code and especially
mm,
writing code with AI, I was like, huh, why is this not possible? And then I just like
mm-hmm.
asked ChatGPT, like, is this possible? It says maybe give me some documentation. Here's the
Yeah.
documentation. It's like, yes, that's possible. Let's do it. It's like
Mm-hmm.
really cool. And then it gives you the code. So very excited
Yeah.
to see how this develops. And like you say, within the world of Tana, it's definitely going to be really cool. Both for both, like, individuals to be able to configure more advanced setups. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is very exciting because what I did was a very simple setup,
Mm-hmm.
but like you were talking about, like multi-select, you can just like have these pre-configured systems of like, oh, when I type this sort of thing and it's tagged in this sort of way, do
Mm-hmm.
this thing. right? Or
Yeah.
add this field or add it to this particular node instead of this one, right? So it's definitely exciting what is going to be possible as
Yeah.
Tana keeps evolving. Yeah,
Awesome.
nice.
Possible sidebar moment. Maybe
Yep.
we'll delete this, but this gives me an idea of a
Hmm.
possible advanced course that we could offer to people later of
Yeah.
like how using leveraging the Tana API or advanced building or self-directed design or something like along those lines. What are your thoughts on that?
For sure. I mean, yesterday as I was doing this, I was like, "Wow, all the possibilities for this are endless." Because we could help people configure their own systems like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be
Yeah.
really cool. And at the moment, like from my understanding of things, like it's not very easy for someone to create their bot like that. They would have to do everything that I went through, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment, I kind of see a bit of the potential of like, okay, like if someone needs help with a particular system, we can kind of
Mm-hmm.
help them with a custom-made system that we say like, okay, which super tags you want to use, which where do you want to send this, what are the fields that you frequently use, and here you go. I created a bot for you in Telegram, and Telegram makes it easy. I think it's a
Yeah.
nice looking interface with minimum effort. So yeah, things like that
Yeah.
would be very exciting to help people achieve this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
And what makes me think that there's probably going to be a market for that is
Hmm.
I'm thinking myself like, oh man, I would love to take a course that would teach me how to do this step by step with some examples, and then I can go nuts. Especially
Yeah.
if there's like kind of a support network around that course or something. And I'm like, well, we could do that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, guys, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, let us know. Like, as you see, like we just you know move as we get feedback. So like, depending if you guys are very interested in this kind of stuff, we can definitely either do a course, do some training, do some custom made systems. But I think at the moment, just kind of showing the fact that this is already possible, I think it's pretty cool. Like you
Yep.
have you have a bunch of stuff here. I have another example. Yeah, right. Like it's super cool. Like the fact that you can just do things, right? Anything you want, start a fake conspiracy theory, you send it. Yeah, I don't know. I was playing so much with this. I was very excited to just see, like, even obviously this works on the phone, right? Like the demo that I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing is just so that I can show it, but like just going on the phone, writing what you want, and
Mm-hmm.
having these like nice buttons that you can just press. And as you can see, it's
Yeah.
very instant. It just goes there. Obviously, Tana doesn't need to be open. All you need to have is like this bot running in the background. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, pretty cool stuff.
So you're able to do this with Telegram. Do you know, can you
Hmm.
do it with other things? Could I use my iPhone messaging and do something similar or?
Yeah, so I haven't explored that, and personally, because I use Android, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know
Mm.
exactly what would be some alternatives, especially like in iPhone. I mean, one nice thing about Telegram and the reason I went for it is because it works across all different platforms, right? It works on your
Mm-hmm.
computer, works on iPhone,
Yeah.
works on Android. I'm pretty sure you can do this with maybe WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just maybe the default messages in iPhone. I'm pretty sure it would
Mm-hmm.
work. What is nice about, and the reason why I just chose the Telegram system is because they do have a lot of documentation on how to create
Mm.
bots, and
Yeah.
it's relatively easy. Like a beginner
Yeah.
can do it. So yeah.
Along the same lines, that makes me wonder, could you
Hmm.
implement this in Discord?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely
Uh-huh.
Discord. Yeah, that'd be
Cool.
cool. Uh huh.
Yeah. Especially if you could do it in the same channel that you have a Midjourney bot, for instance.
Oh
So
wow.
you generate a bunch of images. You're like, okay, yes, this is the one that I want for my next thumbnail. Send to Tana.
Wow, that's definitely possible. I mean, I love
Mm,
Midjourney, and I was playing with like some plugins that work on top of Midjourney,
mm-hmm.
and this can definitely just be a plugin for that, right? Oh, sorry, Discord allows for a lot of things, including things like Midjourney for creating
Mm-hmm.
images.
Yeah.
And again, I haven't explored sending files to Tana, but if it's not possible right now, it's definitely going to be possible soon. But it
Mm-hmm.
might already be possible. It's something I haven't explored yet, but that'd be really, really cool to just
Mm-hmm.
organize things and send it where you need to. And of
Yeah.
course, like this goes beyond Tana. You can send it to your Dropbox file, but maybe have a file in Dropbox and then connect it to Tana. And
Mm-hmm.
you can already do all sorts of things. Like I've been mind blown by how much code allows you to create custom workflows, and I think that's really
Yep.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I want to take a quick pause from this active discussion to kind of, I think, talk to like the viewer or listener a little bit,
Yeah, yeah.
because I want to point out that this is why I get so excited about Tana, because there's so many things that are hypothetically, technically possible with
Right.
other platforms and other systems, but nothing is because of the philosophy of how Tana is built. nothing actually gives you all of the possibilities of all of these other things in one place. And whenever we're talking about something like this, where we've got the Telegram bot, you can expand that same logic to Discord, like I just did, and you can take then that logic and expand it to so many other possible experiences and technologies in the near future. And then believe me, you're going to be able to expand that even further beyond that. And that is why I am so high on Tana.
For sure, for sure. I mean, being able to have a custom made system that works for you, I think that's really where the power of, like personal knowledge management as well as like AI and how you can mix both of those to create like the ideal workflow that you want. I think
Hmm.
Tana is really already proven to be like this environment for your thoughts
Yep.
that works really
Already.
well already, right? So in the future
Hmm.
is gonna be next level. Like definitely excited for that for sure. So I mean, this is something that I'm gonna keep working on. I'm gonna keep testing, especially those ideas that you gave me with like being able to select multiple conditions, like make it a note, but also add this particular field to it,
Hmm.
and maybe add this additional super tag, maybe add a command. Like
Hmm.
there's a lot of things that could be done. So I'm gonna keep playing with it,
Yeah.
and maybe in a future video we'll keep
Yeah.
exploring it for sure.
Yeah,
Nice.
this makes me think about how, remember that two good, one bad thing that we went through,
Right.
the
Yep.
exercise? And for me, the one bad thing was, oh, I get to such a point, and then I just need something extra, or where I need some kind of programming language capabilities, basically, to choose different paths and stuff like that. That makes me wonder, maybe, can you access the Tana API from inside Tana?
Oh wow, yeah, I'm gonna show my programmer ignorance right now and say like maybe yes.
I
I'm not
would
sure.
I
I'm
would
not
think
sure.
that you could through commands.
Yeah,
You
right.
might need to, paradoxically, you might need to kind of exit Tana, leverage some other program to be able to get back inside Tana, but that's something to research, I think. Hmm.
Yeah, I actually don't know because I've seen people in the community doing advanced things that sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, how did they do that? But I
Mm-hmm.
think like literally commands and there's some hidden features inside of Tana that like when you have the commands. Actually, I don't even know what happens when you type API. Get API token, set API key. I mean, I only see those two, but I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
there's hidden stuff that like
Mm-hmm.
mega nerds know about. It would be a bit weird to exit Tana to use Tana, so there might
Mm-hmm.
be some workflows that I'm just not familiar with to achieve like
Yeah.
these sort of interfaces inside. Maybe just with commands, like commands might have some very hidden things that I'm just not familiar with that
Well,
might
how
allow
do you
you to achieve
access
things
an
like this.
API? It's basically you're accessing a web URL on some
Right.
level
Yeah.
with a token and something. So
Exactly.
if it's not possible now, I bet it
Hmm.
will be in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Because at the moment, like it's fairly simple. It's very classic. You just go here to the settings, and then you go
Mm-hmm.
API tokens. You open that, and it creates like a private key.
Mm-hmm.
Like a password for anyone unfamiliar, just like a string of numbers that you copy in your apps wherever you do it. So in my case, I copied it in my Python code, and that connects it to my Telegram bot, and then that runs the code. So yeah, I don't know how much you can do inside of Tana,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's definitely exciting to research about that. That's definitely something I gotta learn a lot more about.
Cool, cool. Yeah. The
Nice.
possibilities are going to be amazing.
Yeah, and it's I mean again, it's just so exciting to live in a day where you don't need to become a full programmer to achieve workflows like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can use AI, and I don't know if you heard of this, but a bit of a tangent. But there's this thing coming that is called Devin. Have you heard of this?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so for anyone not familiar, Devin is going to be an app that, I'm on the waiting list. I think some people already have access, but what it will allow you to do is essentially write code with AI, but not just that. It will run the code, it will find mistakes in the code as it runs, and retroactively is going to know how to solve it because it can also go to the internet, read instructions of the documentation of stuff, and just have this cycle almost like an AI agent, right? That does it all by itself. It knows how to write code, correct it, improve it. You just direct it, right? You say, this is what I want to achieve. Can you do it for me? Because at the
Mm-hmm.
moment, what I currently do is very manual. I go to ChatGPT, ask it for code, paste it myself, run it, give it the errors, fix it, give it the documentation. It's just very cumbersome. And I think
Mm-hmm.
everyone that dedicates a few hours to it can already do it with ChatGPT, especially ChatGPT 4 or something like that. But it's already pretty cool what you can achieve. And when Devin comes out and technology like that, Yeah, programmers are gonna become less and less relevant, unfortunately. And like you were saying in the previous episode, they're gonna be like the directors. They're gonna be the people that know
Hmm.
how to troubleshoot things because they have more knowledge. But it's very exciting how programming and like advanced workflows are becoming a lot more accessible to the average
Hmm.
person, right?
Yeah.
So that's really exciting.
There's always going to be some level where you're going to want a human in charge of stringing things together
Hmm.
at some level of the tech stack, but that level is getting lower and lower
Yeah.
and lower. So ironically, we're going to get to the point where eventually the only people who need to really like actively code stuff is going to be almost in assembly language. And then everything above that, if you're doing JavaScript, Python, or C++, whatever, it's probably going to be 99% bots doing that code. And then just
Right.
humans choosing, well, I'm going to string what this bot did together with this other bot, and hopefully that works. If it doesn't, I'm going to have another bot kind of sew them together better.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess the most exciting part of that is just individuals being able to code their own mini apps, right? Being
Hmm.
able to say, this is what I want an app. My ideal app looks like this. Help me develop it. You ask the AI to say, like, yeah, this is everything I want. Just I'll describe it and it's gonna create it for you. And yeah, within like the larger scale of like bigger apps, there's like you say,
Hmm.
there's always gonna be some programmer, some human that is gonna direct the AI to do the right things. But I'm really excited about the personal aspect of being able to create your own mini apps, which is already something that I'm able to do with today's technology. Can't wait to see how easy it is in the future.
Yep. Also, on the same note as Devin, there's another technology that I signed up on the waiting list for Devin too, but also for this
Hmm.
other technology that takes, so you have a code base of like, these are all the components of what buttons look like, what they do, and eventually I think it'll connect to like databases and stuff so that you have all of the technical stuff to be able to do a fully functional website or even software as a service kind of application.
Right.
And it's going to be able to take your Figma files, what you have in
Hmm.
Figma, and say, okay, so I'm using the same naming conventions for all the components inside Figma, and I do a design, and now I'm going to have the AI build the app for me. And so that combined with Devin means
Right.
like you as one person, if you have even moderately good design aesthetics and you are moderately capable of understanding how the programming works, you can be a one-man army of creating and building all sorts of products and experiences for people.
That's really cool because I mean the only one that I'm aware of is Bubble.
This is beyond Bubble. Like Bubble is still
Right,
like
right,
you're kind of building things yourself. You're connecting all
right.
the dots. But this is I think it's called Builder AI is the company, but the
Okay,
product I forget what it is. I I signed up for it. It's some guy that he mostly talks on LinkedIn.
cool. Yeah, I mean, if we find it, feel free. Like maybe in the community we can share it because that's really exciting. I mean, I wonder actually what's gonna be kind of like the future of both personal apps as well as building software as a service, right? Like creating a
Hmm.
product that others can use. At the moment, we've seen, or during the past years, we've seen this movement of no code, right? Which is
Hmm.
like enabling non-programmers to create apps with like visual drag and drop situations and stuff like that. But as Devin and other tools like that help you write the code, I wonder, is it gonna be a mixture of both? Like, what do you think? Like no code or like AI written code? Which path do you find more interesting, and what do you think is gonna happen?
I think it's probably going to be similar, not a mirror image completely, but similar to how we kind of broke down the different levels of Tana users. That's
Right.
going to be reality in general as well.
Mm,
There's going to be some people who are just straight up consumers, other people who are building for themselves, other people who are building for other people with no code, but then there's other people who are going to be building in code. And just because
mm,
of the pace of innovation that's going to be required for each of those levels just to survive, you're going to be have people specializing as I am a plugin developer that builds things for other builders, or I'm going to be a builder who is specializing in selling to the end user and that kind of thing.
right.
And so like most of those builders aren't going to need to know any code or very little code, or they're it might be helpful to know code, but they're not gonna be spending much of their time in code. But the other people who are building, developing the plugins and other like heavy duty things that aren't capable, like using Tana as an example, like currently Tana Capture only does some things. You had to build something using some code to do this other experience. There's going to
Right.
be people who specialize in doing that. And even then, it's going to be like 80 to 90% of the code is going to be AI generated. But there's always going to be some level of troubleshooting, I think,
Mm,
that a human with experience and knowledge in engineering is going to be necessary to at least do kind of like pair programming with the AI, to figure out what's
right.
going on.
Yep. Yep. No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think, like you say, there's going to be a mixture of both. I think, I mean, the really exciting thing about the state of like code and this technology, even again, Tana, right? Like 10 years ago, there was nothing like Tana that can allow you to do such advanced workflows without using any code, right? You don't need
Hmm.
code for Tana, and you can already do programmer level stuff with
Hmm.
commands, with like a bunch of things inside of Tana. Even just super tags are extremely powerful, and that's not something that we've been able to see in like commercial apps like this. So it's just really cool how I believe that at the moment, like being a programmer, it's just a matter of like self belief almost, right? You just say, "Oh, I'm a programmer," and then you just go to ChatGPT and say, "Make
Hmm.
me a programmer," right? So, yeah, that's very exciting to me.
Yeah. Also, there's a company called Replit who already for years now has had something similar to Devin actually.
Really?
It's called Ghostwriter in Replit. But I have a feeling that Devin is probably like a level above what
Mm.
Ghostwriter has been. But I wouldn't be surprised if Replit catches up with Devin in the near future.
Yeah. So let me just share my screen real quick. Cool. So this one right here, Intro to
Yeah.
Ghostwriter.
Yep.
Okay, interesting.
You can also use
Yeah.
Replit as your kind of a, because you said you had to keep the code running. You can use
Right.
Replit to host your code for that. It's not just
Yep.
an IDE. It's all wrapped in together.
Ah, okay, that's really cool. Right, right. Because like you say, like for the code that I'm currently running, I have to read the
Mm-hmm.
run in my computer or use some
Yep.
service. It's
Yep.
definitely nice if you can do it all in
And
one
they
place.
have some nice courses, including
Mhm.
one I think there's a course for it for creating Discord bots.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, could be handy.
And for anyone that is curious about like getting down into these rabbit holes, I think at the moment, like with the present technology, there seems to be like tools like Bubble that allow you to write with no code or like create apps with no code versus the alternative, which I think the advantage of the alternative, which is like having ChatGPT or some sort of AI writing code for you, the alternative of this, in my experience, that is cheaper, right? Just because it's a lot more raw. It's a lot more manual process. It requires a bit more learning and a bit more knowledge. But what's really cool about it is that you can ask ChatGPT like, "Hey, where do I put this code? I don't know what you're giving me." Right? You can ask like,
Mm-hmm.
"What is this? Like, can you explain it?" And then you can put it like in wherever the service is, like I don't know, Amazon, AWS, things like that, right? You can just ask it, "Where do I put what you're asking me to do?" And that way, I think you can learn the way that programmers have traditionally been doing things without needing to get too much into the technicalities of memorizing code and writing codes like that. I think that path actually makes it a bit cheaper in one sense and maybe less limited because you're not limited to whatever the platform is offering you with no code. But no code is a lot more accessible, a lot easier to get started. So I guess there's those two paths at the moment.
Yeah, well, it also depends on how complex of an application you want to build.
Right.
Like if you're not a very good developer, if you're doing something simple, yeah, like just doing your own code is cheaper and everything. And
Mm,
of course, less limiting. It's always less limiting. But if you wanted to make like a fleshed out application
right.
that would really be used by other end users and stuff, and you're a novice to coding, yeah, you would want to do something like Bubble, or there's
Mm,
several other alternatives that function like Bubble. Before AI came along, like what we have now, the Bubble or something like it was the way to go, I think. But given the trajectory of where things are going, I see Bubble and everything like it either disappearing or transforming into something completely different. Because why would you need that middle ground when you can either go to something like Tana, where you really don't
Mm,
need to connect anything up, or people are going to set experiences up for you so that you can build your own things, tweak things. Or you go to the code where you're just talking with an AI and you guys build things together that way. I don't in the near future, I don't see a reason why you would have things like Bubble for specifically building things, no code, and the only reason you have it is for building things. Whereas in Tana, you can use it as an outliner for notes and or everything, or you can build things in it, you know?
right. Yeah, that's definitely exciting about Tana. And I guess I really want to explore other people's workflows and how like it keeps evolving so that people can generate like these experiences, like you say, inside of Tana that even can be shared. Like right now, there's templates which allow you to bring over like super tags and commands, which is
Mm-hmm.
already pretty exciting, but is definitely gonna be more powerful as there's more features that allow you to build like almost like these mini apps that do things inside of Tana. Like even the fact that right
Mm-hmm.
now it already allows AI, like OpenAI with GPTs in here, that's
Mm-hmm.
already pretty exciting at the moment. So definitely excited to see not only what's going to be possible, but also interested to explore more workflows that we can create and keep sharing on this channel and so on. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So either way, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said before, if you're interested in exploring like these sort of workflows that I shared in this video with like the Telegram bot and stuff like that, feel free to join our free community and you can send us a message or just ask questions there. I might be able to set something like this up for you. We'll see. It's definitely exciting what's possible with this kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll take a look. But yeah, anything else that you'd like to close with?
No, we're continuing to work on things. There's more stuff coming, but nothing that's ready to be announced at the moment, but
Yep.
maybe next time.
Yep. Amazing. Yep. So I hope you enjoyed this and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Cheers.